I bow to Supreme Almighty God. I bow to saints and sages of all the religions. I bow to the lineage of Kriya Yoga masters. I bow to my Gurudev, Baba Hariharananda ji, and I bow to my Guruji, Baba Pragyanananda ji, and I bow to the living power of God abiding within us all. So last time, I suppose May 2nd, I talked about spirituality in daily life, part 1. So this talk is continuation of that talk, spirituality in daily life, part 2. So last time we talked that in order to reach the higher state of realization, we need to pray and meditate every day. Because prayer and meditations are very important. They purify our heart, purify our mind, purify our chakras. But it is not just enough to pray and meditate. During the whole day, we should try to practice spirituality in daily life. We talked about that last time. And we also talked about that a religious person can be spiritual or he cannot be spiritual. Similarly, a spiritual person can be religious or he cannot be religious. Then we discussed about two examples of spirituality in daily life. One was the example of the toothpaste tube. Another one was the example of couple with 2 little daughters. So if you have not heard the talk or if you don't remember, you can listen to that video from which was given on May, for the talk which was given on May 2nd. So today we shall talk about 2 more examples of spirituality in daily life. We'll quickly go through that. And then there's another part of spiritual practice, that is the practice of non-attachment. So we'll talk about that. We talk about what is love, what is non-attachment, what is the difference between the two, how do we practice non-attachment. So there are 3 ways we can practice non-attachment. So we'll talk about that also. So let's go to the third example. Let's say, whenever in the family life, generally husband and wife, we know that most of the people, in most of the cases, in the family, wife is generally, if there is a television, then wife is more interested in watching the soap operas, not so much interested in watching sports. Well, the husband in most of the cases is more interested in sports and soap opera. And he's, generally speaking, not very much interested in shopping. Well, wives are more interested in shopping. So there's always a conflict in that relationship. And so let's say in this one example that if there's only one television set, so they have to make some adjustment because wife wants to watch soap opera, husband wants to watch sports. So they have to allocate different times what they can watch. And if they don't do that, and if they insist on watching their show, then there will be conflict, quarrel, and verbal or physical, verbal fighting between them. Now, if there are 2 television sets and if they can make some adjustment, it will be very easy. Husband can watch his sports and wife can watch the soap opera on two different television sets, and it can work out quite okay. But there is a third way of doing it, which is not very easy for most of us at this level of spiritual development. It requires a much higher spiritual level, but we should at least try, sincerely try, to develop that higher level of spiritual development. So let's say, just for an example, that husband and wife, and husband is watching television, watching his sports, different kind of sports all the time. If you are interested in sports, there are sports year round: baseball, football, basketball, um, uh, hockey, and um, there are many kinds of sports that you can watch year round. So husband is watching and interested in all these kinds of sports, while the wife is not so much interested. But she sees that, oh, her husband is so much interested in sports, and he becomes feels so much joy and happiness while watching the sports. She doesn't have any interest in sports, but out of just selfless love, unconditional love, she says, I must develop interest in the sports because it makes him happy. So she's, instead of thinking of her own happiness, she thinks of the happiness of her husband. So she goes to him and asks him how they play. Let's say he's watching baseball. She's asking how they play the game. Uh, so when husband sees that she's genuinely interested in understanding this game, so he will explain to her how the game is played. And so if this she does it every day, then in about 2 weeks time or 1 month time, she can understand the baseball game very well. And not only that, she can also get uh, the statistics of all different players. If she does something like this, then it may happen that someday, let's say, uh, she wants to go for shopping. And then the husband asks her, where are you going? She says, I'm going for shopping. So your husband remembers how much sacrifice she made for him to make him happy to watch the sports. So he may tell her that, okay, he will also go for shopping, even though he does not like shopping. So this is a very this can only happen if they have unconditional selfless love. And we have love in our life, but our love is generally self-centered. It is a selfish love. In other words, it is our love is love with expectations. When we love somebody, we want something, we expect something in return from the person whom we love. But here, it is the love for the sake of love without expecting anything, which is unconditional love. So we have to develop towards that kind of love, which is not easy, which is very hard. It requires the practicing unconditional love every day. And it may take months and years to reach that level of unconditional love. But we should at least try to practice that kind of love. Now, the fourth example, it is kind of a flip side, husband and wife. And generally, some people think that, okay, if I want to be spiritual, I have to be nice, I have to be good. So spirituality doesn't mean that you have to be nice all the time. It depends upon the particular situation. Now we have to be very careful about what situation it is, because every situation is different. So in order to know what situation it is, we have to, and how to react or behave in that situation, it requires wisdom, it requires the uh, proper judgment. And that can come only after, only when we practice daily and only after we reach very high spiritual level. But we should try to um, develop right judgment and wisdom. So let's say that husband is very dominating, very controlling. He is also very verbally and emotionally abusive to the wife. So he behaves like that. Wife becomes very unhappy. But if she thinks that, oh, I want to be spiritual, I have to be nice, and she doesn't tell him anything and keeps suffering inside, becoming unhappy, sorrowful, that is not good. That is not righteousness. She has to try to understand what is righteousness. She has to do what is right thing to do under the circumstances. So if if she sees that she's suppressing all her emotions and becoming very unhappy, in that particular situation, it may be okay for her to leave her husband. But if she does that, she should not do it with the negative feeling of hatred and resentment. But if she doesn't do that, yeah, she may be suffering, sorrowful, and may develop more resentment, more hatred towards her husband because of her husband's dominating and controlling way. So in that case, if she leaves, she may feel more peace and calmness. But she has to remember that she should do that without developing resentment and hatred. It may not be easy, but at least we must try to develop that. So these are the two more examples. Now, another part of spiritual growth, or another way, is the developing non-attachment. Now, many people are confused between non-attachment and love. Some people think that if I want to become non-attached, I cannot love anybody. But non-attachment does not mean non-loving or indifference. When we love somebody unconditionally, our level of consciousness rises. When our level of consciousness rises, we automatically develop non-attachment. Or other way around, if we develop non-attachment, then our level of consciousness will rise. And when our level of consciousness rises, we will automatically develop pure, unconditional love. So in that sense, non-attachment and love are one and the same thing. Love comes from the heart. Non-attachment comes from the tangled up negative feelings in the mind. So attachment comes from mind. Love comes from the heart. Attachment brings suffering and bondage. Love gives peace, joy, and happiness. So when I talk about love, I'm talking about unconditional, selfless love. So now this is the difference between, just one example, that again, let's say our children are living somewhere far away from us. Say our son or daughter, let's say he gets very sick. It is natural, we are human beings. So when we hear this news, we become worried. We worry, we develop anxieties. So that is natural to happen. But we should also remember that worries and anxieties are negative emotions. So we should try to pray to God and surrender to God. Or God, pray to Him that my son or my daughter is very sick. Please take care of him and help them to become healthier. So if you keep praying to God and gurus like that, then we can, and then it will help us more, or it will help them more, because if we worry and develop anxieties, we will send negative energy towards them. That doesn't help. But if we pray, we will send positive energy. Again, it is not easy. Nothing is easy in spiritual life, but we have to try at least to develop these positive feelings, positive emotions, and um, and try to develop um, spirituality in our life. So that is one example. Now, uh, how to how to uh, how to develop non-attachment. Non-attachment. So I will discuss. There are three ways. One is non-attachment is the exercise of a discrimination. So if we want to control our painful, impure thought waves, we should ask ourselves, why do I need a particular object? Let's say we want a beautiful car. Let's say we want uh, a very luxurious car. Then we ask ourselves, do I really need this luxurious car? Instead, can I buy a more economical car? Or if we buy a more luxurious car, will I be able to afford the monthly payment for this luxurious car? If we think that we cannot afford that, we should be content with buying more economical car. So we can ask the question that do I really need a particular object? The possession of a particular object can give me any permanent, everlasting joy and happiness. We ask that we will know that, yeah, we will be happy when we get something we want, but it will not give me permanent happiness. Will the possession of this object will help me to get greater knowledge or greater freedom? Again, we will not get more knowledge and more freedom. On the contrary, we'll get more bondage and more suffering. So, and sometimes, many times we realize that sometimes uh, it is not that we need a particular object, but we have it's not just desire of a particular object in itself, but sometimes there's a desire to desire something. So it is just a merely a restless state of mind. So again, as I said, that prayer and meditation are needed, but they are only just prayer and meditation are not enough. Along with that, we need to do self-analysis, introspection. We have to ask ourselves what I really need, what I'm doing. If I'm getting every day, maybe before sleep at night, we contemplate, did I get angry today? Why did I get angry? Would I have avoided getting angry? Was I becoming selfish or self-centered? So if why I have come in this world, after I die, where am I going to go? So if we ask these questions to ourselves and try to find answers and do self-analysis, contemplation, then it will help us to grow spiritually much quicker, relatively quicker. So that is self-analysis, and then we ask these questions to ourselves. This is one way. The second way is, do the opposite. In order to become non-attached, develop attachment to something else. Like you remember Saint Francis' prayer. Let me bring love instead of hatred. So that whole prayer, many of you know. So here again, to develop non-attachment, because it is not easy to develop non-attachment. So we can develop attachment, we do the opposite. We develop attachment to the highest object we can think of, and that is God. So we try to develop attachment to God, but it is not easy to develop attachment to God because God is abstract. We have not seen him. So we can start at the lower level, at the gross phenomena. We can, let's take Jesus Christ or Ramakrishna Paramhans, or for that matter, any saint of any religion. These people actually lived in this world in their physical body. We can approach them as a human being. We can read about their lives in the books. So it is easier to learn to love them. It is easier to be wanting to be like them. We should try to serve them by spreading their message. Serve them, spread their message. So if we work towards these higher ideals, our attachment to lower loves and lower objects will automatically slowly fall away from us. Uh, and we have many opportunities, those people who are in Kriya Yoga, we have many opportunities to serve God and Gurus. Right now, of course, it is more difficult because of the coronavirus, but generally when we go to the programs in ashram, we can do many types of seva. We can vacuum the floor, we can cook the food, we can clean the utensils, many kinds of seva, selfless service we can do. So by doing the selfless service, our attachment to lower loves, lower desires will fall away. So, and remember one thing, that when we do that, we are not becoming indifferent to our loved ones, or we are not becoming indifferent to our duties and our work. But our our desire to serve others and our desire towards the higher ideals will be much more important than the having the lower desire. In other words, our desire for our loved ones will be contained in our desire for our higher ideals, and so our desire will not be possessive. Our love will not be possessive. So this is another way to develop non-attachment. The third way to develop non-attachment, many people don't like this because it is to think about our own death. Many people don't like to think about the death because there's the fear about death, because we do not know what happens after death. But it is very essential, if we want to progress spiritually, if we want to develop non-attachment, it is very essential to think and contemplate about our own death every day. So we can think, let's say before sleeping at night, we can close our mind, or close our eyes, and we can think, why am I attached to so many things? Time will come when I will have to leave this world. When I leave this world, all these things will come with me. The car that I love, the house that I love, money, any of these things is not going to come with me. Even my loved ones, my husband, my wife, my children, my parents, even my body is not going to go with me, because when we live in this body for a long, long time, we all developed attachment to the body. But when we leave this body, nothing can go with us. So then why we are so much attached to all these things? Do we remember our loved ones from previous life, our wife, husband, children, or our friend whom we loved so much in the previous life? We don't remember because God has made us forget all that. When we are born in the next life, are we going to remember our loved ones, our husband, wife, children, family members? We will not remember anything in the next life. So why are we attached to them? God makes us forget this thing, and for a reason, because we have attachment. Let us suppose that God gives ability to all the people of this world to remember their last life. What will happen? This world will be a big chaos, because everybody will be running after their loved ones from previous lives, and it will be a big chaos. But that is why intentionally God makes us forget our past lives. But once we reach the highest state of realization, God will give us our memory. God will give us the memory of all our past lives as a human being, and also before that, our incarnation as in the lower animal form will also come to us. But at that time, because of our higher state of spiritual development, because we become non-attached at that time, we will not run after anybody. So, so God then gives us this memory. So non-attachment comes very slowly, but even the beginning stage of non-attachments will give us some sense of freedom and peace. So we should not think the practice of non-attachment is some kind of an austerity, some kind of a very grim and painful thing to do, or you should not think of it as a self-torture. And as we grow in the practice of non-attachment, we will realize that we are not renouncing anything that we desire or want. We are merely becoming free from our imaginary desires and wants. And we will also realize that this uh, undiscriminating life of sense attachment is much more painful, much more difficult to bear than the discipline we impose on ourselves to become free from everything. And that is why um, Gurudev, no, Guruji used to say that in order to attain the highest freedom, we have to give up some freedom in the beginning. So this is really a way, very powerful way to become free from attachments. And so it is not just enough to keep that thought in the back of mind that, okay, I have to give up everything. No, we have to contemplate every day on these things and that I have to, um, I have to become, I have to develop non-attachment, think about what happens after that. So if we contemplate that, our attachment will come to us slowly and gradually. It will not come very quickly, but will come slowly and gradually. Non-attachment will come to us. So these are the three ways to um, uh, develop non-attachment. Now, let us talk about. Let's continue this talk. Because uh, when a person dies, the person who left his body, his soul knows, because of his elevated state, the soul knows what his loved ones are doing, his or her loved ones are doing. They can see that loved ones are very um, crying, they are very sorrowful, very sad, and that is very natural because we are human beings and we love somebody and that leaves us, we feel that sadness, we feel that sorrow. That is natural. But after some time, we must try to try to recollect ourselves, and instead of becoming sorrowful um, um, and feeling pain of that, we should pray to God. Oh God, please give peace and calmness to the departed soul. Please give him quick, accelerated spiritual evolution and bless that soul. Now, because the soul who has left the body, because of its elevated state, it knows what we are doing. And is the soul shows that there is a very beautiful life somewhere in another world. He wants to go there, but because the loved ones are crying and mourning, he cannot go there because our crying, our sadness, our misery ties them to this earthly plane, and they cannot go there. But if we pray to God for their peace and calmness, for their quick spiritual evolution, for their and to bless them, then they will become very happy. They will bless us and go very happily go to the beautiful world that they see. So that will help them. And again, also it depends, because there are some people, we all become attached to the body, but there are some people become very much attached to the body. So what happens to them that when they leave their body, they don't like that. They want to go back to the body. Even though their body is old, their body is full of diseases and sickness, the attachment is so strong, they want to go back. And they cannot go back in the body, and that makes them very sad, very unhappy. So that is a very miserable state to be in. So that is why also we try to develop non-attachment to everything, including our body. And let us now uh, talk about a little bit further about this thing that Now, when we concentrate, when we meditate, concentration without non-attachment will not give us liberation. Because as I said in the beginning, that we, in order to make relatively quick progress on spiritual path, or in other words, in order to reach that highest state of happiness relatively quickly, I again repeat, because that is so important, that we need to pray and meditate every day. We need to do self-analysis, introspection every day, and we need to practice non-attachment every day. Because concentration without the practice of non-attachment will not give us liberation. No matter how hard we struggle, we cannot attain liberation if we do not practice non-attachment. But if we want liberation and we work hard for it, we will get liberation. But instead, if we want pleasure, power, then we will get that instead, not only in this world, even in another world, in another form, we can get that. Because God gives us what we desire. So if our desire is very strong for some material attainment, for example, our desire is very strong for wealth or becoming the most powerful person of the world or becoming the richest person of the world, eventually God will fulfill that desire. But we have to remember that that desire for worldly pleasures or even heavenly pleasures is much lower ambition than the desire for liberation. In Katha Upanishad, there is a dialogue between Yama, the lord of death, and Nachiketa, the little young boy. Yama admits to Nachiketa that yes, these worldly pleasures are only temporary. Because in his human form, he wanted to become the lord of death. And for that he performed sacrifice with the fire. But he says that I performed sacrifice with the fire to become lord of death. But sacrifice was a fleeting thing performed with fleeting objects, or sacrifice and objects were temporary. And he says, small is my reward because I know that in a short time, because I know that only for a short time my reign will endure. So Yama knew that after his good karma is exhausted, he will have to leave his kingdom and he will have to be reborn as a human being. Then only then he will get another opportunity to turn his back towards the heaven and practice for self-realization. So it is very important, to if you want to quickly progress to the highest happiness, we need to pray and meditate with the practice of non-attachment. Also, what happens, suppose we have attachment to certain things in our life, okay? And let's say we are very much attached to our lower three chakras: money, sex, eating delicious food, drinking. So if we, and I think in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that yam yam vapi smarana bhavata tajati ante kalevaram tam tam eva eti kaunteya sadatak bhavavitam. So Lord Krishna is telling that whatever a man thinks at the time of death, that will come to him in the next life. Some people think that, okay, during the whole life I can enjoy in the bottom three chakras. When the time comes to leave this world, I'll think of God. But remember the second line, Lord Krishna is saying that you will only remember those things at the time of death on which your mind has constantly dwelt upon. So if your mind has constantly dwelt upon the pleasure of the bottom three chakras during the whole life, at the time of death, we will not think of God. Okay? And I'm saying this thing because we are attached to many things. Some people are attached to their dog and cat. And when dog and cat die, they become very miserable. They miss them so much. So there was one disciple of Guruji. She came to Guruji's meditation. She sat down for meditation and she put three pictures on the floor. One picture of Guruji, another picture of her son, and the third picture of her dog. After the meditation was over, she went to Guruji and showed the picture of the dog. And she says, this is the picture of my dog who died 2 months ago. And I love him so much, I miss him so much. So Guruji told him that, don't be so much attached to your dog because when dog was alive, he loved you so much, you loved your dog so much. Now he's gone, let him go. Pray pray to God that make him human in next life. That will help him more. And it is very important because again, I tell you one more story. There was one holy man living near the lake or river or something. His name was Jadabharata. He was a very holy man, living a very pious life, praying, meditating all the time. One day, he sees far away a deer is running, and very far from there, there was a tiger or lion chasing that deer. Deer comes near him and is so frightened, comes near him, and then out of fear, it jumps in the lake. Now, the deer was pregnant. It was a female deer. So, when she jumps in the lake, while jumping, she delivers the baby deer and she dies. This holy man sees all these things and he immediately jumps in the water, rescues the baby deer, bring the baby deer out. And then he starts taking care of the baby deer. He will give him bath every day. He'll bring the food for the baby deer every day. He was taking care of every day. So he started loving the deer. But what happened, along with that love, he started developing attachment to the deer. So after some time came for him to leave his body. So at that time he started thinking, what will happen to this deer after I die? Who will take care of this deer? What will happen? And thinking like that, he died. So as Lord Krishna was telling Arjuna, that whatever you think at the time of death, that will happen to you in next life. So because he was thinking about deer and died, in the next life, he became a deer. Even though he was a holy man, he became a deer. But he still had the sanskara or impressions of his previous life because he was a holy man praying and meditating. So as a deer, when he will see some group of monks going, he will follow them. When he see that some discourse is going on, he will sit outside and listen to the discourse because he had the sanskara of holy man in the previous life. So since like this, he lived as a life as a deer. And after a number of years, when he died as a deer, the next life, he again became a human being and he regained his sanskara of the holy man, which he had at the time of death. And he again started meditating and praying, and he started progressing towards his highest goal of God realization. But what happened? Because of his attachment to this deer, he lost number of years. He wasted number of years. So what he should have done not to develop attachment to the deer? What he should have done? Loving deer was all right, but what he should have done is that while taking care of the deer and during the whole day, he should keep one thing in the mind that I cannot take care of the deer forever. One day I am going to die. So God is taking care of the deer through me. So he has to pray to God every day, oh God, you are taking care of this deer through me. And after I die, you have to take care of this deer. I will not be able to do that. If you keep praying to God like that, thinking about his death, what will happen, then he would not have developed the attachment to the deer. So this is something we have to remember. And um, also, remember Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that asansayam mahabhavo manaha durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyana cha gruyate. He says, yes, Arjuna, mind is very restless. It is very difficult to control. But it is not impossible to control the mind. It can be controlled with regular practice of meditation and practice of non-attachment. Again, he's saying that if you want to reach the highest state of happiness, we need to pray, meditate, live the conscious life, contemplate, and practice non-attachment. It is very essential to do that. Like, you know, because as I said before, that if we meditate for a particular desire for power or wealth, we will get in that instead. But that will not give us highest happiness. Because as I told you the story about Lord Yama, he had to be reborn, he has to be reborn to find liberation. So why not try to have the highest desire to reach the highest happiness? And then, if once we reach the highest state of happiness, all these other desires that we have, lower desires we have, maybe whatever it can be, wealth, power, or whatever, we will get that as a byproduct of attaining God realization. Even Jesus Christ says that seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. So he also says that first try, keep the highest desire for God. And if you have some lower desires, keep them, but they will be automatically satisfied once we reach the highest state of happiness. And that's why he says that all these things shall be added unto you when we reach the highest state of happiness. So try to have, so it is good to have a desire for liberation, for highest happiness. So all other lower desires will come to us as a consequence of attaining God realization. Now, let's see if I'm forgetting anything. Okay, so as I just to summarize, three things we need: regular practice of prayer and meditation. Second, uh, contemplation, self-analysis, introspection. And the third is practice of non-attachment. Because Lord Krishna also said that if you want to progress spiritually, if you want to control your mind, you have to practice meditation and non-attachment. So it is like this. Suppose you want to clean a dirty cloth. Can we clean the dirty cloth with soap alone? We cannot. Can we clean the dirty cloth with water alone? We cannot. In order to clean the dirty cloth, we need both soap and water. Similarly, in order to clean our dirty mind, we need both regular meditation and prayer and practice of non-attachment, self-analysis, contemplation. We need that. Without that, we can reach the highest state of realization, but it will take much, much longer time. This way, we can relatively quickly attain the God realization. Our masters say, we all remember that our masters say, or Baba Hariharananda Gurudev used to say, it is possible to attain God realization in one lifetime. And if we practice these things sincerely, meditation, prayer, contemplation, and non-attachment. If we do that, we can reach, they say that one lifetime or maximum 2 or 3 lifetimes, we can attain the highest state of happiness. Otherwise, it will take thousands and thousands of lifetimes of suffering to reach the highest state of happiness. So now, I think we shall do the meditation, which is not a Kriya Yoga meditation, general meditation for about 15 minutes. So please sit straight, close your eyes, and bring your concentration between the 2 eyebrows, about 3 to 4 inches inside your head. Your soul is there. Love your soul. Soul is God. Love God. Love your soul. And breathe normally, but observe your breath. Breath is going in. The breath is coming out. Just watch your breath. Be very alert. Do not allow your mind to go here and there. If a thought comes, just observe the thought. It will pass by. Breath is going in, breath is coming out. Normal breathing, just observe the breath, concentrating between the 2 eyebrows, 3 inches or 4 inches inside your head. Now, take slow, long, deep inhalation. Bring peace within yourself. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Spread pure love around you. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Bring peace within you. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Spread pure divine love around you. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Bring peace within. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Give pure love to others. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Bring peace within. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Give pure love to others. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Bring peace within. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Give pure love to others. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Bring peace within. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Give pure love to others. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Peace. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Pure love. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Bring peace. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Give love to others. Now take slow, long, deep inhalation. Peace. hold your breath. Holding the breath, bend forward as much as you can. Exhale. Normal conscious breathing. Concentration between the two eyebrows, about 3 to 4 inches inside your head, and observe your breath. Breathe normally, just observe. Breath is going in, breath is coming out. Who is inhaling and exhaling? When we sleep at night, in deep sleep, our soul, God is tirelessly inhaling and exhaling, keeping us alive even in our deep sleep. So God is inhaling and exhaling. God is keeping us alive. Keep that consciousness. Keep observing the breath, concentrating between the two eyebrows. Be very alert. Do not allow any thoughts in your mind. Watch your breath. If you keep watching the breath, thoughts will not come. Continuous, one pointed attention between the two eyebrows, about 3 to 4 inches inside your head. Your soul is there. Love your soul. Watch your breath. As your concentration becomes deeper and deeper, your breath will become more feeble and more tranquil. Feel that peace and calmness. God is calmness. When we feel the calmness, we are close to God. Feel that calmness. Feel the presence of God. Now take slow, long, deep inhalation. Hold the breath. Holding the breath, slowly sit up. Exhale. Normal conscious breathing. Keep your back straight. Concentration between the two eyebrows. Breathe normally, but observe your breath. Watch your breath. Feel that peace and calmness. Feel the presence of God. Remain inside your head. See, can you hear that divine sound? It's coming from deep within. Try. Now take slow, long, deep inhalation. Bring pure love within. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Give peace to other people. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Bring pure love within. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Spread peace around you. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Bring pure love within. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Spread peace around you. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Bring pure love. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Spread peace around you. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Pure love. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Peace. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Pure love within. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Give peace to others around you. Slow, long, deep inhalation. Pure love. Slow, long, deep exhalation. Peace. Normal breathing. Keep your back straight. Eyes closed. Concentration between the two eyebrows, about 3 to 4 inches inside your head. God is there. Your soul is there. Love your soul. Continuous attention inside your head. Be very alert, awake. Do not allow any thought. But if a thought comes, don't try to control it. Just observe the thought. It will pass by. Continuous attention inside your head. Little attention in the breath. Feel that peace and calmness. God is calmness. When we feel this calmness, we are close to God. Love Him. God is love. Pure, infinite love. That is God. Unconditional love. That is God. Thank you. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pasyantu, ma kaschit dukh bhaga bhavet. May everybody be happy and healthy. May everybody see the auspicious sight. Let no one have a share in sorrow and suffering. Let everybody be joyful, happy, and peaceful. Om Tat Sat. Jai Guru. Thank you all for attending this 1 hour talk and meditation. God bless you all.